This is Halo Reach. We're here on Xbox Series X taking a look at the classic 360 version of the game. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. This story follows Noble Team as they are joined by a new special member of the squad under extremely dangerous circumstances. You're going to have to defend Reach, because if Reach falls, everything falls. You're going to be battling a series of ever more mysterious and eventually, obviously, the Covenant have come to destroy everything circumstances, and you're attempting as your team to basically deal with these Covenant threats across a series of different situations, environments, and combative zones. So this version of the game is, as I mentioned, the original experience from back in the day, and at this point they've stripped away most of what the game is. You could still play the single player campaign, you could still play it locally together. The online multiplayer is gone, but you could still play like local forge, local custom games. You know, you could still play around with all that stuff, just like the online multiplayer and everything like that is just stripped away and not playable at the current point in time, which is a little sad if you think about it, considering the history of the different Halo games and all the armor unlocks and everything you kind of work towards. But you know, that's just kind of how things go over time, and obviously with Halo MCC existing, I guess there's not really necessarily a point for this much older version of the game to exist as it does, and yeah, it's just a little kind of almost sad to some degree, just because it is so historic as far as Halo games go. This is obviously Bungie's swansong, their last kind of entry, and remember the showcase trailer where it was kind of like Reach burning, and it's like, remember Reach, and I was like, oh, because you know the book and everything like that, and yeah, it's kind of wild to be, because like I remember when it came out, did the midnight release, and now to see it be like a relic that's not even really like, you know, usable in this way as a game anymore, it's just kind of weird. Like, you can still play it, right? Like, it's not gone, but and it's basically improved in every way in MCC. It's just very strange to think of something that I picked up as new as being like an old relic. It feels very, very odd. And I think that is probably the case for most people that, like, you know, kind of think about this game from a basically like a retrospective standpoint. It's kind of wild, but it has been out for quite a long time, and yeah, it's really, really interesting, honestly. So we're gonna dive in and talk about this pretty in depth. What are we getting here? 720p, 30 FPS, auto HDR. They never updated this one in terms of, you know, giving it a resolution bump up or anything like that, so it is pretty jagged and low resolution. I still think the game itself, for the era, looks really, really genuinely impressive. Like, this game is pretty mind-blowing visually for just, you know, again, thinking about what the 360 era was able to actually accomplish. It's kind of amazing what they were able to pull off. Just like the visual art direction, the style of the game, the design of it is just so well done. And yeah, we're going to be showing off the campaign because the other parts of the game really aren't quite usable, but you know, Forge World for forging was absolutely remarkable, an incredible like achievement at the time for building custom games and maps and everything like that. It was amazing. It was like Forge but on steroids, beyond anything we'd ever seen. And then, you know, the multiplayer was really intense, full amounts of game modes. It was a full Halo package. And there was like DLC that released too that took things further. They had great Forge maps and multiplayer. This really was sort of the definitive kind of Halo offering. It was a little weird that they embraced the DMR. I mean, if you're a Halo veteran, it's always about the battle rifle, so that was always a bit odd, but no, they really did put together such a compelling and well-designed package. Yeah, it's still amazing even to think of all these years later, just like how comprehensive this was compared to stuff we got later in terms of Halo releases. Like, this really was probably the last, no, maybe Halo 4. Yeah, Halo 4 was pretty feature complete, and they added a bit too. Yeah, this one just felt so masterful, though, in terms of, like, full audience connection and interest from everyone like that. And, you know, doing the different difficulties, having the different skull multipliers, they were all really, really great. You know, I remember doing, like, legendary, doing legendary runs with people and stuff, and trying to do, like, the Lone Wolf achievement, which is the only achievement I don't have. So there was, like, a certain point where they put out an update for this game, and the update like wiped my save. I was like, I think I was like on the last level or something like that. Like, I really was so close to getting it all done on, maybe I had a level or 2 left, but I was so close to finishing the legendary solo achievement. And like, for whatever reason, there was a game update and it totally wiped my save. And I was just kind of left a little traumatized. I was like, are you kidding me? And I think that's literally the only achievement I actually don't have. Yeah, that's the only one I don't have in this game. Kind of wild to think about. Yeah, that's the only one. 68 out of 69. I don't know if I'll ever get it. Maybe someday I'll do like a stream attempt at it or something, but that'd be a lot of work. I just remember getting like almost like it finished, and then the frustration of not being able to like get that was like a very aggravating is what it was. Very, very aggravating.
Nice work, Spartans.
To get that close and then, you know, kind of having that issue there. Kind of that's something you don't forget. We're getting another Warthog? Why? I guess that's in case there's multiple people here and stuff like that, because like playing this in co-op was a blast too. Like I said, doing like legendary runs of regular plays, and you know, there was like Easter eggs and all these different events, and it really did feel like the perfect kind of Halo send-off for them too. And it's especially like it's very interesting seeing it being a prequel, right? Like the events leading directly into the Halo stuff, and it does kind of change up things from the book too, which is interesting, because, well, I don't know if they consider the books all like canon or what, or how people look at all these things, but yeah, it definitely, to me, this was a very, very interesting and kind of compelling Halo game. Very, very well done, very well rounded, filled to the brim with content and things to dive into. And again, like, just from like a retro perspective, like, this game was amazing when it came out. There were some things like, as I mentioned, the DMR was kind of like a weird adjustment for like Halo fans, because we'd be so used to the battle rifle from previous Halo games. And now the DMR has kind of become a bit of a mainstay in the series. And then there was the armor locking, which was always a bit of a problem, for sure. And yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of the armor lock. Some of the armor or power abilities were a bit weird, but you know, they were sending us in a direction where sprinting and stuff was to become part of the experience, which I think made sense. And yeah, and then the terrifying elites. Like, this game legitimately made the elites scary again, since they had not been something that was too terrifying since, I think, really Combat Evolved, right? Or they weren't quite as terrifying in this game. They were kind of like monstrous. The elites, like, legitimately monstrous, especially on Legendary, where they do like the roundhouse kicks on you and stuff like that. It was a little wild to deal with. Also, firefight in this game was remarkable. Firefight was a lot of fun. Guess I didn't even really mention that. Yeah, so that was the cooperative mode where you would go in and you'd fight off waves of enemies and stuff like that. Firefight was amazing. So yeah, you had just such a well-rounded Halo game, such a complete thing. You got the campaign, you can play it alone, you can play cooperatively, locally cooperatively, you can do competitive multiplayer, firefight, which is cooperative against the AI. You could do the Forge, the custom games, the theater mode. Yeah, there was a little something for, like, literally everyone. Is that the Goss? Oh my, my, my. I wish somebody was here to drive me around. And then I also remember spending a ridiculous amount of time grinding out credits. I don't know if I don't think I ever got the max level in terms of multiplayer in this. I think it was like Clips or something like that. I was pretty high up. Nova, there's all these crazy ranks you would get to. And there was like daily like credit caps, and you could only earn so much, and you'd be doing like daily rewards all the time, and the daily rewards would have you doing all these like grinding all these different parts of the game. Which when you're younger it's fine, but like when you're older it probably would have been pretty tedious. But then again, most games these days have tons of, they'll have daily rewards and challenges and things for you to grab. So I guess it's not too weird, right? Like, I guess that's pretty common nowadays. But I just remember it being like a thing you jump on, you do your dailies, your weeklies and stuff like that too. Yeah, there was a lot going on in this one. It really was quite a complete Halo game, right? Like, just the amount of content in this was absolutely mind-blowing. And the AI design and stuff was really well done, like the way everything, they move and they attack and work with you. Also, like, thematically, the way it handled all the different characters. Like, the roster here for Noble was just, like, fantastic. And seeing, you know, how you deal with that, like, sort of grimness. Because, like, Reach is falling regardless of what you do. You sort of already know the end of it, but it's still just kind of a tragic, story-driven thing. You don't really get to know the characters too long, but, like, you really do sort of care about them, which is so fascinating. It's a hard thing to do in a story, like, balance that sort of thing. And that was so interesting because you literally were sitting there being like, wow, like, almost left in despair in certain situations and circumstances. Like, they always kind of made you care about the individuals. It was impressive storytelling. It really, really was. I don't know if it comes across as too simple to people playing it for the first time nowadays, but it really was quite a thing to have that sort of gameplay. It was neat. It was nice to be a Spartan that wasn't just like Master Chief too. Like, you really felt like you yourself were a major part of the narrative, because you were essentially just like a Spartan that you made. That was the cool thing with this game, was like, you earned the armor for you. You basically were you were brought in to do the job. You were the, wow, that guy smacked me to bits there. You know, like, you were this important kind of lone wolf character, which again, the whole lone wolf moment as the story progressed was amazing as well. The whole, like, the ending for this game is outstanding. I won't spoil it, I guess, but like, this game had a phenomenal conclusion to it that was just like as like stark and intense as the entire game's setup was. Good old Ani. Yeah, they really did a good job of connecting every part of this game. Every little thing came together in such a wonderful way. Kind of amazing if you think about it. Do I need the targeting thing? I don't think I need the targeting thing anymore. Or if I do, I'll get it later. But yeah, it's really quite interesting how like every little system of this game had like a purpose and a place, and it was just so well done. And it's kind of almost sad looking at it all like murky looking and like jaggedy around the edges, because like when this came out, this game was like visually stunning. Again, I still think it looks really, really good, all things considered, but you can definitely see how the aging is. Is there else? Here we go. That was a big change up too for this one, was the return of like the health packs. They were definitely trying some different things with this one gameplay wise. They were certainly putting it in a little bit of a different direction, or trying to switch things up, which is neat. Yeah, Halo Reach, always a really, really special setup. I think they did a really neat thing with this. The whole package just so wonderful. Actually, looking at games nowadays, it's kind of like almost impossible to really comprehend just like how big this game actually is compared to some titles that release today that don't have like the full amounts of stuff, especially Halo games. I'm so used to Halo games not releasing with like content and them trickling it out later. Like I couldn't even imagine having a full, well-rounded Halo package in the modern era. I don't even think it could be done anymore, actually. This game just did it all, and then it had like really good DLC maps. Oh, Invasion mode was super cool too. I don't know if you remember Invasion, but it was sort of like Covenant versus the Spartans, and yeah, I think the big disappointment, that one, well, for the time it was great, but like nowadays you kind of play it in like MCC and you're sort of being like, wow, I wish they could have increased like the player counters, like, because it feels almost tame, which is funny because like back in the day it was like this action-packed mode back and forth, like objective stuff. Really wish they would have continued actually Invasion mode. I think that mode had a lot of potential to be like even crazier over time had it still gotten development, or like, you know, further later Halo releases and stuff. But yeah, kind of amazing just going back and actually thinking of all the little smaller details that make up this game, and it's really sad that they didn't just keep the multiplayer going just to, you know, kind of allow us to keep enjoying what those have, like what it has to offer. Kind of a little sad. Are we actually destroying the, I don't think we actually need to destroy this thing. Oh wow, we actually blew that up. That was amazing. Because yeah, this Halo game has everything. And I mean, you can still enjoy a lot of what it has to offer, right? Like there's still all different like local stuff, and you can still enjoy the multiplayer to a degree, but I guess it won't ever be the same without having all your progression, the actual competing against others in multiplayer. But as I said, it's pointless too because you've got Halo MCC and it just takes this and makes it look better and run better and higher frame rates and better resolutions and better quality and connected multiplayer. Yeah, it does give it a bit of a pointless kind of feeling. And, like, I don't even have my custom character, like, armor unlocks. I usually have, like, a red Spartan. I have a very distinct look, because that was the Spartan that I created, right? That was the setup that I made. And, oh, nice. The Mac shot? Beautiful.
Beautiful, ain't it? Someone should take a picture. Nice work, by the way.
Thanks, man.
I aim to please.
5, 6, get down to the science wing. Dr. Halsey wants a debrief and command saying we're all...
Alright, I'm gonna skip and get to the next segment. Yeah. This was so impressive. Because it really felt like a traditional kind of Halo game, but also evolving the formula and getting us further along. It's really neat. Like, if you play the Halo games kind of in a row of the technology, but if you play them chronologically, it's really weird because like you're basically taking an advanced thing and then going backwards, like right to the beginning, right after this one, which is funny. I don't know. It's neat. I think they really did create like a perfect sort of Halo package here, though. Even despite the weirdness of the BR not being a thing and the weird armor locking and stuff, I just remember having so many fun moments. Like big team battle and like forge maps and playing with different various like friends and people I knew back in the day. Most of which I don't even know today, which is kind of funny thinking about it. Yeah. That's crazy. So many years have gone by. But you will always remember Reach, right? These great cinematic moments too. This game just like everything, the music, the visuals, oh, Halo just like at the top of its game was just like unstoppable as a franchise. It's weird to see how far it's fallen off, but yeah, there really wasn't anything that touched Halo back in the day. This was like the premier sort of like shooting like franchise and tech franchise. Like it just I know there were other games and that and different series, but there really was just something truly special about Halo, especially Reach.